Hula is the ancient Hawaiian art of storytelling. According to legend, the goddess of stormy clouds, Haike, the sister of the fire goddess Pele, went down to the beach and started dancing and moving her hands with the movement of the waves. Hula was used as a way of storytelling for many years and generations. There are two main types of hula: hula kanau, ancient hula, and hula anau, modern hula. Hula kanau is often performed at ceremonies and sung in a more traditional chant. There is often a strong connection to the past, and they are often more formal. Hula anau is usually danced in a less formal setting. There's more guitars, basses, steel guitars, and ukuleles. In the 1820s, Christian missionaries came to the islands and took charge. They were frightened by the ungodly dances the natives performed. The missionaries persuaded the king to outlaw the beautiful dance, and for 60 years, hula went into hiding. People didn't want the traditions to be lost, so hula was taught in secret. Thankfully, in 1874, David Kalakaua was elected as king. He made it one of his missions to recapture all the traditions that had been lost during the rule of the missionaries. He and his wife, Kapiolani, strongly believed the stories of the dances and their beliefs that they brought Hawaiian culture closer to its origin. Kalakaua also published a book called Legends and Myths of Hawaii, which supported most of his ideas with text evidence. It also spread Hawaiian culture farther through text. Now, each year, Kalakaua's honor is celebrated at the Merry Monarch Festival in Hilo on the island of Hawaii. Later, in 1915, more Americans learned about the Hawaiian culture from the Panama Pacific Expo in San Francisco. From that came the whitewash version of hula. It became more of a Hollywood show with cellophane skirts and coconut bras, which might be what people think about when thinking of hula. It's important not to forget that time when Hawaiian culture was spotlighted, but it's also important to know that that wasn't necessarily very traditional. There is a deep, strong connection between dancer and dance. There is always something that keeps a dancer's interest in hula, and it's often very personal to them.
I started when I was 15 years old.
What made you fall in love with hula?
Well, it was easy to fall in love with hula. I didn't expect to fall in love with hula, actually, because my friends enticed me to go to this class for 8 weeks. So I think of it on my own. I wasn't searching for it. So to have me do this for such a long time is kind of unusual.
Yeah.
But anyway, we did an 8-week course at the University of Washington. It had hula and a little bit of Tahitian. And when it ended, we all had to find something to do. We had to find a new place. So that's, I think, the fact that hula tells a story, and in the dance, I think that really influenced me to loving it, because it's a little bit different than other dance forms.
Great. And what made you continue and start Sunshine from Polynesia?
Well, the three of us continued by finding a halau. It was in Greenwood, into March. And she was wonderful. When we found her, we were very lucky. And so we were with her for a number of years, and until she retired. My sister-in-law, Dawn, she said, well, every so often people ask us to dance, and we have a couple of costumes that we had made up until then, and we had some hula dresses also. We had made them. Anyway, so we thought, well, we could start a business. She really thought of it, and we had a Hawaiian name for it, but the translation was loosely Sunshine from Polynesia, and we found it easier to go forward with that name. And we did it probably, we were in our early 20s when we did that. So it just was another idea from someone else that said, let's do this. And so we ordered cards, and we made flyers and things you do on paper. There were no computers. Facebook and all that kind of stuff, of course. So anyway, we got hired here and there just a little bit, and we had fun. And as we had our children, we started wanting them to get into it. And the third person in this trio was Wendy, who you happen to know also, and still drums with us when she's here from Hawaii. Anyway, yeah, so it was a complete accident as far as actually having Sunshine from Polynesia turn into what it is today. Total accident. Just happened in little steps, but I didn't try for it. Yeah.
How do you feel about when you see the community that you've created with it?
Oh, that's really sweet to think about. I just feel really happy to know so many different people for so many years and decades.
Okay. When did you start dancing?
I started dancing when I think I was like 8 years old. I was in elementary school, and we performed there. And after the performance, they had all these flyers. They're like, if anybody wants to join our dance group, come get a flyer. I snatched one up and I brought it home, and there you go.
What made you fall in love with Hula?
I just always felt like it was like a really safe space, and I felt like it was just very accepting. Like you didn't really have to be good. Like people just kind of believed in you and wanted you there no matter what. And I think that just was it's kind of an unusual feeling when you're like really young. So yeah.
Is that what made you stick with it?
Probably. And I also didn't really get into sports or anything, so it was kind of just like my thing for a long time. And as time went on, like more responsibility was put on me, which felt good. It made me feel like I was good at it, and I was being trusted to like do more and help. And it was kind of my first job, so I kind of that always feels cool, like when you're young.
Personally, I started dancing when I was 4 years old. I started dancing because my uncle was going to get married in Hawaii, and the girls in our family wanted to do a dance for him and my new aunt. I started earlier than my mom and my aunt and grandma, so I would understand it more, but I ended up loving it and continuing it for another 10 years. It became a beacon of hope and happiness in COVID and will always be my thing. Dancers will train for years with the physical intensity of professional athletes and with serious academic rigor before performing professionally. What do you think people should know when they see a hula performance in terms of like the meaning and just like the emotion that's behind it?
Well, it depends on what the people want to know, because some people want to just watch a pretty show, and to me that's okay. And then it's really nice when we get hired, for instance, to perform or asked to perform for a nice organization that we don't always get hired for, but it's nice when they actually want to know more about the hula and how much meaning there is behind the traditional dances. Yeah, and I have nothing against those who just enjoy watching it, nothing more, because that's an enjoyment anyway, it's all good.
Every dance you've ever seen has a story behind it, which is really cool, which can get a little bit lost in just the very like performative aspect and like entertainment, but the stories are really cool behind them, and learning about them is worth it.
You will often see hula performed alongside Samoan fire dance, Mori haka, and Tahitian otea. However, it's important to remember that these beautiful dances are all from the general place of Polynesia, but they each have their own traditions and meanings behind them. There are many hulaus around the world keeping these traditions alive. Hopefully, hula will be continued for years so the history and culture doesn't get lost.